Hello guys, hope y'all are doing well. Today, I want to talk about Two Time, because in my opinion, they're still one of the most controversial characters in Forsaken, even after their rework. I believe that Two Time is flawed because they have some major issues with their kit, with the biggest one being their stealth. Before I explain why I think that, I should first break down their kit. First, their sacrificial dagger. They pull out their dagger and attack the killer. If they hit the killer from the front, they apply slowness and helpless for 1 second. However, if they land a backstab, they stun the killer for 2 seconds instead. Then there's Crouch. When activated, they become undetectable and heavily invisible, while also having their footsteps completely silenced. However, their movement speed is significantly reduced while crouched. They can stay crouched for up to 15 seconds, and if they manually uncrouch near the killer, they get a short speed boost. They can also use the dagger while crouching, which turns it into a fast lunge, but gives more end lag. It also increases the stun from 2 seconds to 3.5 seconds. Then there's Pray. This ability allows Two Time to convert their oblation into health. While praying near their ritual, they can spend their oblation to heal themselves, gaining 1 HP for every 2% oblation spent, up to 50 HP if they use the entire bar. If Two Time is not near their ritual when attempting to use this ability, the location of their ritual will be revealed to them for 4 seconds. And finally, there's Ritual. This is what gives them their second life. After placing it, if they die with a full oblation bar, they'll be brought back to the ritual instead of dying normally. They also receive speed and vulnerability. In Last Man Standing, they automatically enter their second life, their maximum HP is increased to 110, and they heal up to 50 HP. They also do not receive the vulnerability, and they will not be teleported to their placed ritual. However, any buffs they gain are reduced based on how much oblation is missing. Now that we've explained their kit, let's get right into the issues. And this is where my main issue with Two Time comes in. A lot of their kit revolves around getting behind the killer and landing a backstab, but I don't think that works very well in Forsaken. The problem is that Forsaken is a third-person game, meaning the killer can freely look around them. Because of that, sneaking behind an experienced killer is already pretty difficult. And if you miss your stab, you're punished extremely hard for it, which makes trying to play around stealth feel very risky. This also makes trick stabbing a really important part of Two Time's kit. If you can't reliably sneak behind the killer, you have to find other ways to land your backstab. The problem is that trick stabbing can be extremely frustrating for the killer to deal with, while also being one of the few ways Two Time can defend themselves during a chase. Even after the changes, trick stabbing is still viable to use, just not as easy to pull off. Another issue is the Roblox servers themselves. Two Time relies a lot on precise positioning for backstabs, so lag and server delay can make them feel inconsistent. Sometimes you can get a backstab even when it looks like you weren't behind the killer, while other times you can clearly be behind them and still miss. This can be frustrating for both players because the result can sometimes depend more on the server than your actual positioning. Spy from TF2 has a similar stealth-focused playstyle, but it works much better because TF2 is a first-person game. Players can't constantly look around themselves like they can in Forsaken, so Spy has more opportunities to sneak behind people. The hit detection also feels more consistent, while Roblox's servers can sometimes cause things like latency and hitbox issues, making precise backstabs even more difficult to pull off. So you end up with this weird situation where Two Time either feels frustrating to play against when they're landing their backstabs, or feels incredibly vulnerable when they can't. And I think that's the biggest problem with their current design. His abilities aren't necessarily bad, but they rely heavily on a playstyle that doesn't work consistently against experienced killers. Instead of giving two-time a reliable way to survive during a chase, a lot of their survivability comes down to whether they can successfully land a difficult backstab. That's why I think two-time needs some changes to their survivability rather than just more ways to nerf his backstabs. Now that we've gone through the issues, let's get into some possible fixes that could really help two-time. First, their stealth. Right now, when two-time moves towards the killer, they gain a speed boost, so why not build on that? I think a great change would be to increase two-time's invisibility while moving towards the killer. This would make the lunge stab more effective, since two-time would be harder to notice while approaching the killer. They're already pretty noticeable when trying to crouch stab from behind, so making them less visible during the approach would make the stealth aspect more reliable and give them a better chance of actually landing the stab. Secondly, their second life. I think a great change would be to give them some more survivability during their second life, and I think a dash could be a great way to do that. Hear me out. Right now, there's a tech where you can dash away from the killer by using the crouch stab, which gives you some extra distance. I think turning this into an actual ability would give two-time a reliable way to survive during a chase without having to rely on trick stabbing. This would be especially useful during their second life, where they're at their most vulnerable. I'm not too sure which ability to replace, though. At first, I thought replacing the dagger would be the best idea, but that would come with a few issues. Mainly, two-time wouldn't be able to gain any oblation, which would make prey completely useless. Replacing crouch wouldn't really work either, since that would remove an important part of their survivability. My solution would be to replace the dagger with a dash. When using the dash while crouching, it would instead perform a crouch stab, but only stun the killer for 2 seconds. This would remove the need to rely on trick stabbing during their second life, while also giving them a reliable way to survive and still gain oblation. However, I'm not completely sure if this would actually be balanced, or whether the dash should only be available during their second life or replace the dagger entirely. So let me know what you think in the comments. I'd love to hear your opinions and any other ideas you might have. Again, these changes aren't going to completely fix two-time. I don't think there's a perfect way to fix them because of how their kit is designed. Whether it's the reliance on trick stabbing or problems caused by latency on both Roblox's side and the player's side, there's always going to be some inconsistency with the character. However, I think these changes would at least make two-time's stealth and chase survivability more reliable without making them completely dependent on trick stabbing. And that's pretty much everything I wanted to say about two-time. Overall, I don't think two-time is a terrible survivor. I just think their kit has some pretty big issues that make them difficult to balance and sometimes frustrating to play as or against. I don't think there's going to be a perfect solution, especially with things like trick stabbing and latency, but I do think there are ways to make their stealth and survivability more consistent. Of course, these are just my ideas, and I'm sure there are things I might have overlooked. If you disagree with something I said, or have your own ideas for how two-time could be changed, feel free to let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. Anyways, thanks for watching until the end. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, consider liking and subscribing. Other than that, goodbye. Have a great day.